Yeah, that rings very true to me. So it's kind of like this idea of extractive capitalism that we live through right now. You're saying has kind of taken a lot of its foundational roots from these ideas that maybe have gone as far back as Plato to say that the real, utopia is afterlife, and this world is just to be used for human consumption for whatever we need.
Right. And I would also say it's not that capitalism is the problem.
Right.
It's capitalism in the service of cultures that do not value life on earth is the problem. It's the
Mm-hmm.
values that's the problem. The values are Western, and they come from the Platonist and Abrahamic tradition, which basically get everything from each other for the most part.
Right. Well, and there's something to be said about capitalism in the last 50 years as well, saying how companies, for example, used to be looked upon to take care of their community, to take care of employees, to make sure people were employed and were able to live with a certain amount of dignity. That, I'm sure, in collaboration with unions. But it seems like after Jack Welch started taking over and kind of using it for financial manipulation to, only look at shareholder value and profit opposed to looking at how the community or the environment was involved, it seems capitalism has shifted after his tenure on the stage. So it seems like there's all these iterations that continue to go to value money and and not valuing the world or the people less and less. And I hope we're regressing a little bit back to something that's more, ethically centered. But I don't know if I'd hold my breath on that.
Well, what you're talking about has some deeper roots, and the what I think is the inflection point on capitalism. Capitalism was more or less invented in the 1200s. What I think is the inflection point for the modern era, or at least one of the important inflection points, is that Henry Ford had the Ford Motor Company. He was partners with two brothers whose last name was Dodge. They eventually formed the Dodge Motor Company. But before they left Ford, Ford was very idealistic about the ability of a company to create wealth for a community and for its workers. And he wrote about that and his desire to have his company bring a much better life to the workers. The Dodge brothers sued him for not giving a bigger share of the profits to the shareholders. They won in court, where the judge said that the reason for the existence of a corporation is to maximize the return to shareholders. If that judge had said the opposite,
We'd be in a different
things would be
place.
very different now. So that was a major inflection point that helped to create, in the modern business world, a totally rapacious approach.
Right. Wow. I'm gonna have to look up that case because that's fascinating.
I mention it in one of my books called The View from Lazy Point, and the citations in that book will tell you where I got it from, but I'm sure they're very easily Googleable. I'm sure you can easily look up online some of the history of this
Right.
because
I
I
will
did.
do.
That